From expanding a research station in one of the world's coldest locations, to building a railway through the desert's punishing heat. And from one of the largest man-made holes in the world to the largest infrastructure project in the Himalayas, here are some of the most dangerous building projects ever completed. Number 5. The Rothera Research Station. The UK is currently constructing a $415 million megaproject in one of the most inhospitable and remote locations on Earth, with temperatures ranging from 5 degrees to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Everything you see here, including the personnel, tools, and building supplies, had to be transported 11,000 kilometers from the UK to Antarctica. But precisely what are they constructing here? This location houses numerous ongoing scientific projects in collaboration with the Netherlands and functions as the largest British survey station for polar research. The study of climate change in real time is one of these science initiatives. In order to develop accurate climate change models that can foretell the rise in sea level, the Antarctic weather and fauna are continuously observed for this purpose. In spite of the severe weather, more and more buildings were added over time to enable effective research work. What was once a small base with room for only 4 people has grown into a complex with space for up to 130 employees that run continuously during the summer. The so-called Antarctic Infrastructure Modernization Program, the most expensive government-funded project in Antarctica since the 1980s, has been under development by the British government for about 4 years. Upgrades to the Rothera Research Station are included in this $415 million project. On this station, the majority of the structures were out of date and in need of replacement. A new $55 million wharf was additionally finished in 2020 to accommodate the brand new polar research ship. In addition, work on the so-called Discovery Building began, and completion is anticipated in 2024. To lessen the station's impact on the environment, the Discovery Building, a new science and operations facility, has more energy-efficient systems. The 2-story structure, which will take the place of several older structures, will house office space, medical facilities, and field expeditions. Number 4. The Etihad Railway Megaproject. From ice shelves and frozen seas, we now take you to the sand dunes and scorching heat of the Arabian Desert, where the UAE is currently constructing the Etihad Railway. Once completed, this $11 billion megaproject will connect the UAE to Saudi Arabia, 200-kilometer network, stretching from Abu Dhabi's Guwaifat region to the Fujairah port on the east coast. This massive infrastructure project, however, is only a fraction of what the Gulf Cooperation Council members, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, have planned for their country's future. Because all of the GCC countries rely heavily on oil, their economies suffered greatly during the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic. To address this, the GCC states are now collaborating on a long-term solution that includes a massive $100 billion rail network to better connect their ports and industrial centers. This will enable them to diversify their economies and eventually become less reliant on oil. But first, let's take a closer look at the UAE's Etihad Railway Megaproject, which presents very unique and extreme challenges because it runs through one of the world's hottest and most ruthless regions. Because the heat can reach up to 50 degrees Celsius during the day, construction workers are forced to work at night at a relatively low 30 degrees Celsius. However, the extreme heat isn't their only issue. Because the construction site is in the middle of the desert, there is bound to be a lot of sand. Huge amounts of sand can settle on the construction site during strong winds, making work impossible or even damaging the railway. As a result, the nearby sand dunes are gradually transformed into clay. This process, on the other hand, takes years to complete. Another quick way to combat the sheer amount of sand is to plant many trees near the railway. These trees can then act as natural walls, preventing sand from covering the railway. The Etihad megaproject will be built in 2 stages and is expected to be completed by 2024. The first stage began construction in 2009 and consists of 2 264-kilometer-long tracks from the Shah and Habshan gas fields to the port of Ruwas in the Western United Arab Emirates. The railway should also assist the country in lowering its carbon footprint, which is among the worst in the world. A single train journey is equivalent to removing approximately 300 trucks from the road, resulting in carbon dioxide emissions that are reduced by 70–80% when compared to using trucks. The project's second phase will add 600 kilometers to the rail network, connecting the East Coast and other key industrial regions. Number 3. Norway's new coastal highway. Let's go somewhere where the weather is more pleasant. Norway is well known for its stunning scenery, vibrant coastal towns, towering mountains, and sheer cliffs. However, such a beautiful landscape comes with significant difficulties when traveling throughout the country. A trip from Trondheim in the south to Bergen in the north currently takes about 21 hours and includes no less than 7 ferry rides. Norway has finally decided to solve this problem with a $47 billion highway upgrade in order to improve this slow connection to cities in the west and north, and thus boost the economy. When completed, this highway will be the first of its kind, with floating bridges, floating tunnels, and the world's deepest road tunnel, the Rogfast Tunnel. The Rogfast subsea tunnel is the first of the crossings, with construction beginning in 2018 and an initial completion date of 2026. However, cost overruns have pushed the project back to at least 2031. The 30-kilometer-long tunnel will be the world's longest and deepest subsea tunnel, with a depth of nearly 400 meters below sea level. The crossing of the Sognefjord, however, is likely the most ambitious and difficult phase of the entire coastal highway megaproject. The reason for this is that Sognefjord is Norway's deepest and largest fjord, measuring over 37 kilometers in width and 1.3 kilometers in depth at its deepest point. The Sognefjord crossing is difficult due to its massive size and the large number of ships that enter the fjord on a regular basis. Every crossing should, as a rule, provide a clear shipping lane no less than 400 meters wide, with 70 meters clearance above sea level and no less than 20 meters clearance below sea level. Keeping all of this in mind, the project team devised several options for this fjord crossing. The first concept is a standard suspension bridge with a crossing length of 3,700 meters. A bridge that long requires support towers that are 450 meters tall, much higher than the Empire State Building, and if built, would be the world's tallest bridge structure. The construction of a floating bridge is the second idea for the Sognefjord crossing. This also implies that the bridge may need to be raised to allow ships to pass. The engineers would have a difficult time with this because the bridge would only be tethered to each shoreline. A submerged floating tunnel is also being considered. Because of the extreme depth of the Sognefjord, the tunnels would be suspended from floating pontoons, allowing ships to pass above. A hybrid concept that combines a floating pontoon bridge and a portion of the submerged floating tunnel to allow ships to pass through could be the solution to this problem. If this concept is realized, it will be the first of its kind in the world. Number 2. Tibet's high-speed railway. China is constructing one of the world's most extreme railroads in the midst of the incredible nature of the so-called roof of the world. The Tibetan Plateau is more than 4,500 meters above sea level and is surrounded by the world's tallest mountains, including Mount Everest on the border with Nepal. They are currently working on a 800-kilometer electric high-speed train from Tibet's capital Lhasa to Chengdu. The project is divided into 3 sections, 2 of which have already been completed. Almost $6 billion was spent on the railway from Lhasa to Nyingchi alone. This 400-kilometer section includes 47 tunnels and 121 bridges. Because of the enormous heights, the trains are outfitted with unique technology, such as an oxygen supply system and special windows to protect against high UV exposure. However, the most difficult part is yet to come. The more than 1,000-kilometer-long middle section between Ya'an and Nyingchi began construction at the end of 2020. Because the Indian and Eurasian continental plates collide here, the area is prone to earthquakes. Landslides, snow avalanches, and flooding are common in this area. Furthermore, construction on Tibet's permafrost ground, which expands during the winter and contracts during the summer, had to be avoided. Building a railway under these conditions is extremely difficult, so approximately 90% of this line runs over viaducts or through tunnels, making it a very expensive project. Over 100 temporary medical facilities were scattered along the rail to provide construction workers with immediate medical attention. Aside from the difficult altitude, which makes the work exhausting, the workers must also contend with extreme temperature differences. Inside the tunnels, temperatures can reach 45 degrees Celsius, but outside, the temperature is frequently 30 degrees Celsius lower. The entire project is expected to be finished by 2030. Once completed, it will make access to this breathtaking region much easier, and it is an important step in China's plan to improve the country's infrastructure. Number 1. Diamond Mir Mine. The Mir Diamond Mine in eastern Russia's Siberian region is the final extreme construction project on our list. Siberia is famous for its harsh and long winters, with average temperatures well below 0 degrees Celsius. Although not many people live in this ungrateful environment, Soviet geologist Yuri Kabardin embarked on an adventurous expedition into this remote region of Siberia in the 1950s. Many similar expeditions had failed before him, but Yuri was successful in locating diamond-bearing deposits. Today, one of the deepest man-made holes, an open-pit mine more than 500 meters deep, lies exactly where Yuri first discovered diamonds. To give you an idea, this mine is so deep that you could fit the Eiffel Tower, the Empire State Building, or even the Lakhta Center, Europe's tallest building, inside and still have room to spare. Diamond mining started in the late 1950s, but the harsh weather conditions made it nearly impossible. Winters can last up to 7 months, causing materials to become brittle as temperatures drop below -30 degrees Celsius and even freezing the oil and machinery. As a result, in order to reach the diamond deposits, the miners had to use explosives to melt the permafrost. The entire mine had to be covered at night to prevent the machines from being damaged by the extreme cold. Summers were also difficult because the ground turned to mud. All structures had to be built on piles, or else their heat would melt the ground and exacerbate the mud problem. The main processing plant had to be built on safer ground more than 20 kilometers away from the mine because the soil was too unstable. Unfortunately, hydrogeological conditions caused a massive water inrush that completely flooded the mine in August 2017. 143 miners were rescued out of the 151 who had arrived for the midday shift. Unfortunately, the search for the remaining 8 miners was called off shortly after. The Mir Mine is still in use today, but the entire operation has moved underground. What are your thoughts on these extreme construction sites? Please let us know in the comments section below. Subscribe to AHM Top 10 if you want to support our content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.